there world, I'm the Courageous Goldfish, and today we've got to talk about Crunchyroll. Anime fans from around the world recognize that orange circular logo anywhere. According to Wikipedia, Crunchyroll is an American subscription video on-demand streaming service that specializes in the distribution, production, and licensing of Japanese anime and drama. But why are we here? Why are we talking about it today? Recently, you may have heard that Crunchyroll purchased its largest anime streaming competitor, Funimation, and rolled its content into itself. In addition to that, news recently broke that Crunchyroll had also purchased RightStuf Anime, the e-commerce website that is beloved by manga and anime fans alike. Both of these announcements seem to inspire passionate feelings from anime fans, as it left a bitter taste in the mouths of subscribers more than a sweet one. But why? Why is this problematic? Could it actually be a good thing for the anime industry, or are we tiptoeing slowly more towards community doom? The answer is more nuanced than I first thought. Obviously, as an anime fan myself, I do have some biased personal feelings about this, but this is not really what the video is about. I'm trying to lay out the situation in the most simplified way possible and kind of just give you the lowdown, the possible pros and cons, without bringing too many emotions into it. So why were these mergers so poorly received by fans? Well, first of all, it kind of smells of monopoly. And no, I don't mean rich Uncle Pennybags. A monopoly is when a company has exclusive control over a good or service in a particular market. Crunchyroll acquiring two of its big major competitors wipes out any contested power struggle in the North American market at least, which takes away the free choice that every consumer has in choosing where to put their money. By snuffing out any perceivable competition, Crunchyroll makes sure that your money has to go to them. You have no other viable or feasible option as a consumer, which can really blow if you don't support a company's values or you just don't want to give them your money. But is this really Crunchyroll's fault? In my research gathering for this video, I came across a less publicized piece of anime news. On August 9th, 2021, the Sony Group Corporation announced it had acquired Crunchyroll into its extensive business catalog. This is of note because Sony had acquired Funimation as an asset in 2017, owning 95% of the stake, and in 2019 bringing Aniplex, another anime and music production company that they own, into the fold to help them run it. This means that technically Funimation was owned by Sony first, which means that in a roundabout way, Crunchyroll was actually bought out by Funimation. So why choose to merge the two? Crunchyroll obviously has a more expansive and well-recognized notoriety in the anime community than Funimation does. At least since I started watching anime 8 years ago, Crunchyroll was the definitive streaming platform that people had a strong brand association with. Crunchyroll had booths at cons, ran ad campaigns, and sponsored content creators that were involved in the community. It was nearly impossible to escape their PR. If you were in the community, you knew of Crunchyroll. Because of their long-standing notoriety and brand recognition, it's not hard to see why Sony would choose to dismantle Funimation and roll it into Crunchyroll instead. Of course, this came with its own caveats. Subscribers who were subscribed to Funimation because they didn't like Crunchyroll are now faced with one of two options. Either suck it up and switch to Crunchyroll, or turn to the high seas and become a pirate. Furthermore, Crunchyroll's pricing ranges from $7.99 to $14.99 USD per month, whereas Funimation's basic plan retailed for $5.99 per month. Even if subscribers were okay about the merger, that still means that they would see a 33.4% increase in their subscription fee, assuming they purchased the basic plan. For some people, especially in the midst of a cost of living crisis, that stings. Yes, of course, you'll now get a far more expanded library of content, but it hasn't all been smooth sailing there either. Funimation assured fans that its full catalog would be rolling over to Crunchyroll as the transition occurred, but there have been issues reported that certain titles haven't made the move, and certain dubs of very popular shows like Fairy Tail, One Piece, and Dragon Ball have yet to make their appearances. Obviously, this is a little disheartening, and fans are hoping that this doesn't have negative ramifications for the future. There are potential positives for this though, especially if you take into consideration the climate of the streaming industry at the moment. The obvious potential pro is that you can have a unified streaming service that has all of your titles in one place for one subscription fee. The reason why streaming rose to popularity so aggressively was because the subscription price was so much lower than the traditional cable package. You could have all your popular shows in one place for one affordable subscription price. But as the industry grew and more companies wanted a piece of the pie, you could no longer get everything you needed with one service, with many households paying for several different subscriptions a month and making their bill more closely mimic the cable package of the past. As the market gets more and more segmented, and as subscription fees rise, people are becoming more and more disillusioned with streaming. Industry pioneer Netflix reported a drastic drop in subscribers for the first time in a decade this spring, and anticipate losing as many as 2 million more in the next quarter. So is it really such a bad thing that Sony wants to amalgamate anime streaming into one service? Another potential hitch though with this whole idea of Crunchyroll being a monopoly is that healthy competition typically drives improved services. When a business faces healthy competition, they are more motivated to improve upon their services to try and win over consumers. When you are the only competition, you don't need to aspire to do better or improve upon your services because your customer base has no other comparable option to replace you with if you suck. What I really hope we don't see is a marked decrease in quality, not just concerning the anime streaming service, but also concerning RightStuf as well. People anticipate outsourced customer service and sloppier, less secure shipping from RightStuf after this acquisition, and while we have no way to know if that will be true, it could be a depressing possibility for diehard fans of the website. RightStuf made itself a viable competitor to brick-and-mortar bookstores by offering cheaper cover prices on their books than the suggested retail price. If Crunchyroll does away with that, I don't see the benefit of purchasing online and paying for potentially subpar shipping when you could just take a trip to your local book or comic store. Another announcement that left a bad taste in some people's mouths was the announcement that Crunchyroll would be doing away with erotica content on the RightStuf website. It is clarified that this type of content will be moving to a separate, completely 18+ website called arrowanimestore.com instead. While it's relieving to hear that the content won't be completely done away with, some patrons have been left angry and questioning why this was necessary in the first place. Of course, there are potential positives for RightStuf as well. Earlier in the year, they announced that they would no longer be able to offer free Canadian shipping due to rising freight costs. And even earlier this year, customers faced long wait times for package fulfillment, both due to the manga shortage and the lack of adequate resources in RightStuf's shipping department. By partnering with the biggest player in the American industry, RightStuf could have access to a wider network of shipping options, as well as more adequate product distribution services. I hope that's the case because I've only made one order with RightStuf since starting my collection, and I think that if they really pulled itself together and improved with this merger, I think I could see myself using it more if it became viable for Canadian residents again. Obviously, at the end of the day, most of this is speculation, and what we're gonna have to do is just sit back and wait and see what happens. Whether these mergers bring unity and increased customer satisfaction to the industry, or it turns out to be a complete disaster, we're just gonna have to wait and see. That is all I have for you today. Of course, if you like this button, please hit that like button. It lets me know what kind of content you guys enjoy the most. I'd actually really love to hear what you guys think about all this in the comments down below. I've been very interested in the public reaction to this whole thing, and so please sound off in the comments. But of course, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the flip side.